Alright, just do your best on the last 10 nights and don't care. Do your best on the last 10 nights and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for everyone. You know, it's to be the 27th night, but still not 100%. The dua in those nights is so special and significant. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin wa ba'd. Well, so guys, alhamdulillah, today we're going to have the part two of the presentation of Ramadan that made by Al-Qadr Institute. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them. So inshallah, we're going to continue actually what we started already and the fasting rulings and everything related to Ramadan. And actually, as I said before, that presentation is really, really good. I liked it a lot. And it's covering a lot of matters and a lot of affairs related to Ramadan, starting from what Ramadan is all the way till Zakat Al-Fitr and all to the joy of Eid. So inshallah, today we're going to continue the part we left off. So let's just get right away to it, inshallah. Let's go. Bismillah. I'm going to share the screen already. And, well, we talked already about the table of contents related to this presentation. We talked about all those kind of things. And we're going to start, inshallah, today from the special night, Laylat Al-Qadr. We're going to talk about the special night, inshallah, Laylat Al-Qadr. And we're going to try to do our best, actually, to move on after this, go into special night, Laylat Al-Qadr. Well, after that, alhamdulillah, we talked about fasting and we were all prepared to receive Ramadan and try to get to Ramadan right away after Sha'ban. And we already know the rulings of fasting and how to make your fasting be proper, what make it valid, and make sure that you're following the Prophet ﷺ by following the Sunnah. All of that we covered. Now, after that, it's important to know about the last 10 nights, and that's obviously really, really important. And as most of the scholars said, almost every virtual time, its end of it, it's way better than the beginning of it. The end of it, it's better than the beginning of it. What does that mean? Look at Ramadan, for example. The best time of Ramadan is basically the last part of it. We look, for example, at, Sha'ban, for example, more important to the last days of Sha'ban, like you get ready before Ramadan, you make sure that you do your best in them, and the Hijjah, and a lot of things so it's important to make sure that always you're getting ready and prepare for the timing that's you're, making it be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those 10 nights, we have actually a special talk about them. So here, one of the most important nights here, the slide says, is the Laylat Al-Qadr. And that is the night of focus. Everyone comes to Ramadan and he's focused and he's always remembering and is always paying attention to hit that night and to get the best in this night. So it's called the night of power, the night of decree, night of Al-Azama, night of greatness, decree, speciality. And this night is so special to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, as Allah said, Inna anzalnahu fi Laylat Al-Qadr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically sent the Quran in the Prophet Prophet's heart in Laylat Al-Qadr, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But actually, when you look at trying to know what day it is, or what's the date, the 21st night or 22nd night, that's almost every year's fight. Everyone basically comes every year, it's trying to say, well, I think it's 25th, I think it's the 26th. Guys, just do your best on the last 10 nights and don't care. Do your best on the last 10 nights, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for everyone. As long as you're looking forward to it, you actually claw in your ways to make sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely make you be hitting a reward for it. So said here, no one knows exactly when Laylat Al-Qadr is, but it's in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. That's more to be confirmed. Many Muslims stay up late, praying, reading the Quran. Those are the activities. And that's what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, it's important night. What should I do? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam basically used to be sallallahu alaihi wasallam be like his sleeps, and also the Prophet was waking up his family sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and tell him to get up and let him know also that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in those nights. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the last third of the ladder of the night, Allah descends subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Sama' dunya, and Allah asks, is there anyone seeking forgiveness so I can forgive him? Everyone is getting close to Laylat Al-Qadr, and especially make the Qiyam al-Layl. But if you can't, if there's any excuse, fill those nights with dhikr or Quran or whatever. So those amazing nights of Ramadan, as we said, guys, it's important to be fill them with any ibadat, any acts of worship. That, and especially the night of power, which you really don't know what night it is. So that's why you have to deal with them equally. Yeah, it's more likely or more, there are a lot of evidence, it's to be the 27th night, but still not 100%. So الموفق من وفقه الله عز وجل لإتمام العشر. The one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for him to hit the entire reward. He's the one that is going to be doing the best and all the deeds and all the acts of worship in those, basically it. So after that, guys, I mean, as we said, like you're trying to be filling almost all the acts of worship, like ibadah, Quran, salah, talab ilm, seeking knowledge, whatever, do whatever you want, like silat al-arham. But more importantly, try to focus on the stuff that the Prophet ﷺ used to make. But if you're like trying to be varying between all of them, no problem. Still amazing. So the power of dua. Well, the dua in those nights is so special and significant. And that was already narrated by the Prophet ﷺ, wife Aisha radiallahu anha. She narrated, "O Prophet of Allah, what is the dua?" Look, that's how it shows significance. It shows intelligence of her. What is the dua that you suggest or recommend in those nights? Which night I think it's Laylat Al-Qadr that you recommend me to say? The Prophet ﷺ said, فَقُولِي اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. Or فاعف عني if you're talking about yourself. If you're imam or something, making dua for the others, say فاعف عنا. So اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني. Make sure a lot of some other people, they add the word Kareem. اللهم إنك عفو كريم. The word Kareem is not much authentic. So اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني. That is the dua of the Prophet ﷺ recommended to Aisha radiallahu anha. But maybe someone might say, what about the children? What about, can't we ask Allah for other things other than forgiveness? Obviously, you could still ask. And it's not even for children only. You could ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having a happy and blessed life, good health for your family. Allah helps you in the future. You have a better job, have a better position in your work. Getting your daughters married. Anything, you get married, you get your brother married, anything. Ask Allah Jannah. Just try to do your best to fill your time with what's making you close to Allah. And now going to the freedom from the hellfire. Al-'itq min an-nar. Al-'itq min an-nar, when you think about it, guys, it's basically the prize. It's basically the gift of Ramadan. It's the gift of everything in life. It's the gift of everything around you. That your raqabah, your soul, your nafs, everything is total freedom from the hellfire. What else do you want? What else do you want more than that? I don't need more than that. I'm actually living this life for fulfilling that purpose, to get this. So that's why you're asking Allah for أَنَّكَ عَفُوٌ تُحِبُّ الْعَفْوَ فَاعْفُ عَنِّي. And always you also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma a'tiq riqabana min an-nar. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically said in the hadith al-Qudusi, وَلِلَّهِ عُتَقَاءُ مِنَ النَّارِ وَذَلِكَ فِي كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ. As the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith said, وَلِلَّهِ عُتَقَاءُ مِنَ النَّارِ وَذَلِكَ فِي كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ. Every night of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is basically freeing up bunch of people every night, and that's every night of Ramadan. Subhanallah. So this is one of the greatest blessings of Ramadan, that Allah frees people from hellfire every night. This means that if we pray the good deeds and ask for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may forgive our mistakes. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, innahu al-ghafur rahim. And that's why Ramadan is a time to be kind and to be more. And that's why, if you think back to the first part one, when we were saying fasting or why do we fast, we already stated it, that the reason is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can get pious. Do you see the piety now? Do you guys see the piety now? That look at how yourself, look how you act, look how your goals are. You're not like that in the other than Ramadan. You're now more connected to Allah, asking a lot of blessings from God. That is the meaning of piety. That is the meaning of taqwa that Allah made Ramadan for. And that was so important now. So guys, as I said, Al-Ashr al-Awakhir min Ramadan, make sure that you're following the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah. If you could make i'tikaf as well, make i'tikaf. There's nothing here. It's not mentioned in the slides here. The Prophet ﷺ used to make i'tikaf. And in the last year, the Prophet would make i'tikaf. He made i'tikaf for 20 days, the middle of Ramadan and the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So i'tikaf is a sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. If you could make it, then make it. With full in the conditions and meeting requirements of the i'tikaf to be valid. Obviously, last thing, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin, as Allah is so merciful and Kareem, subhanahu wa jalla fi'ula, the Muslim, he is actually turning from an ibadah to another ibadah to another ibadah. And when you look at Ramadan, it's a really, really amazing month. When we look how many ibadat actually are gathered here in this month, you're just going to go crazy. Salawat al-Mafruda, the 4 prayers, the obligatory prayers. Fardu al-Siyam, the pillar of fasting, which is Ramadan. Zakah, you're fulfilling the Zakah, which is also one of the pillars of Islam. And also, you're doing your best if you get Umrah. If someone is doing Umrah, and we have a lot of hadiths to encourage this, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that Umrah in Ramadan is like a Hajj. It's like Hajj, subhanAllah. You get the reward of Hajj, but obviously that will not be enough for you to make the Hajj. Obviously, you still need to make the obligatory Hajj. So Zakat al-Fitr, when you think about it, that it's basically the time or the ibadah. That is, you're going to end up your Ramadan, you're going to put your signature at the end of Ramadan with it. So the special charity in Ramadan, at the end of Ramadan here, says, before Eid al-Fitr prayer, Muslim give a special charity called Zakat al-Fitr. What is Zakat al-Fitr? We'll talk about it right now. It said this is a small amount of money or food that every Muslim must give to help poor people. Again, let's pay attention, guys, that almost all the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their main purpose is taqwa. You attain the taqwa. Those are secondary, amazing reason, amazing purpose and goals to help poor, to feel poor. All that's amazing, but don't let it be the primary. Because Zakat al-Fitr is also asked from the poor. That if the poor and the rich could make it, then what's the difference then? Who am I feeling that we're all the same now? All right? So let's now try to zoom in more now on Zakat al-Fitr and try to go. Why do we give Zakat al-Fitr? That's a good question. Again, Zakat al-Fitr is given as it's an order and command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also to attain the taqwa. Let's look at the secondary purpose and goals now. Is that to help the poor, so everyone can enjoy the Eid, even those who don't have enough food. When you think about it, actually, Zakat al-Fitr, as the Prophet ﷺ gave it, he gave it food. He gives it food, alayhi salatu wasalam. When you think about the people, they are in a bad need of food and whatever. Those people actually, if they don't have the food, in the night of Eid, their Eid will be ruined. Their Eid will be perished. No Eid for no happiness. So that's why, subhanAllah, look at it, the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Zakat al-Fitr Shurri'at, it got legislated so that people could be celebrating with Muslims and feeling, because how would you feel happy and your stomach is empty? So to help the poor so everyone can enjoy Eid. And that is also showing the significance that why Zakat al-Fitr should be done as time as exactly the Prophet gave. And second one is to purify your fasting. I mean, obviously when you're fasting, you're not perfectionist. We talked multiple times in the part 1, make sure not to do anything contradictory to the fasting. Don't make anything against fasting, like backbiting, like cheating, like yelling, like, slandering, like gossiping, like lying. Haram. But let's be honest, it maybe happened once, it happened when you don't know. So Allah knows, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah knows His creation. So to purify your fasting, it helps you also make up all those mistakes and all those sins. And also to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, as we said, that's a taqwa meaning. How do we give it? As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, is given as in form of a sa', which is around 3 kilograms of the most average, edible seed for this country. When you think about the most average or the most common edible seed, like rice, wheat, dates, it could be also it could be flour. You're gonna look based on the most common thing that people use here. So it's usually given as food, or you're gonna give money to buy food. So it has to come the last form of it has to be food, like the Prophet ﷺ gave. It says here, parents usually give it for themselves and their children. So if imagine that we have a family of 5 members, so the dad is going to be paying for himself and for his children. So he's going to be basically he's in charge of paying money that money will be giving 5 si'an, 5 si'an of zakat al-fitr, of basically sa' min al-hubub, 5 si'an, five basically that amount that we use, that kind of unit, we use it to be weighing this stuff, which is around 3 kilograms or maybe a little bit more, or even it depends sometimes on the seed. So imagine 3 kilograms, 3 kilograms times 5, so 15 kilograms for the whole family. As I said before, that it must be given before the Eid prayer. You could start giving the zakat al-fitr starting from the 28th day of Ramadan. The 28th day of Ramadan. No, the 27th, the 28th day of Ramadan. And the best time to give it out is the time where basically قبل صلاة العيد. قبل صلاة العيد. Before Salat al-Eid. He said, he'll simple points, a small gift for the poor. They'll be really good. And I actually like those people doing this. Some people think like, well, guys, we give it money. We give it money. We give it money. Guys, it's giving food. Is given as food as like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. If you want to give him money, why don't you finish your, the command that Allah gave you? Finish the amount, maybe finish the most commanded thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically ordered in the form that how Allah ordered and how the Prophet basically conducted. Then you could add extra few things related to, like money or whatever. So you could put a small gift for the poor, could give them before the Eid, or even with the zakat, you could give them like put an envelope and put like $100 or whatever. So you give him food, but mainly zakat al-fitr is going to be accepted as ta'am, and anything extra than that will be sadaqah, form of sadaqah. Those guys will have that kind of amazing story here. He says Muhammad was an 8-year-old boy who had never fasted before. This year, he wanted to try fasting like his parents and older sister. Look at the great model here. He said on this first fasting day, he woke up early for suhoor. Amazing sunnah. The families like living their children do that. He ate his food and drank lots of water. He felt a little hungry at school, but he remembered why he was fasting. People around him, that's an amazing challenge that happening, among our brothers and sisters in the West. So he said to be patient and thankful for all the food that Allah gave him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, every day. So when it was time for iftar, Muhammad was so excited. He ate a date like the Prophet, drank water and smiled. He said, I did it. He said happily, I did it. And his family cheered for him. That's amazing to make the family. Like show him basically what he's done. Very good. Because if he could find an encouragement for the most close people to him, the closest people to him, then he will definitely like it. But if he didn't find any type of encouragement, he will not be encouraged at all. To try to watch that parents a lot. His family cheered for him and told him how proud they were. That night, Muhammad prayed with his family and listened to the Quran, and he felt happy and close to Allah. And he decided to try fasting again next day. And that's amazing. And we talked before about that, like the children, guys. We said before, the children have to be participating in the fasting. I mean, I've seen a lot of family. They're like, well, you're gonna be fasting the first day for an hour, second day for 1 hour and a half, for the third day for 1 hour and like whatever. And it keeps increasing with him or her until she gets used to. Never forget what you're doing right now. You're going to be harvesting when your kid becomes like 16 or 15 or 14. You will never find any struggle. He will never find a challenge at all. Start from that time. علموا أبناءكم. Look what the Prophet, علموا أبناءكم هم أبناء سبع. Why did the Prophet ask us to do this when teach their children how to pray when they're 7? That's the time of start. And later on, then you're gonna find that fruit is paying back. So trying a short fast, that's a good way. So tell them like, we're gonna be fasting for just a few hours. Or praying with the family. So you literally also participate in the Taraweeh prayer, listen to the Quran, helping the parents. If you're gonna give iftar, give him like take your son or take your daughter with you and go into the poor's houses and give the zakat al-fitr and let him see the solidarity that Islam is actually fulfilling. And this is really amazing. Alhamdulillah, I mean, after that, after all those rituals, I mean, we all going to be receiving Eid, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uh, make all of our days Eid and enjoy and happiness. So that's why we're wearing no clothes and to go to the mosque and the masjid for a special prayer and we share the delicious food with the family. And we actually, everyone, this is the day that we have to be showing happiness to everyone. And this day is haram to be fasting at all. And it's also time to give zakat al-fitr, as we before said. And we ask us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the end to say, Allahumma barik lana fi Ramadan wa a'inna ala fa'il khayrat wa amla qulubana min iman. Allahumma aghfir lana fi Ramadan wa aghfir lana ameen. And then you asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you have another Ramadan, experience another one by saying, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. So you just said, Allahumma taqabbal minna Ramadan. And also you're saying, اللهم بلغنا رمضان مرات عديدة وأزمنة مديدة اللهم آمين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guys accept from all and put the sincerity and acceptance of what we're doing. Ikhlas wal qabul. And guys, remember, mawasim al ta'at just come really, really, really in a short time. And that is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the main purpose of it. So that can be trying to hurry up and see the chances. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward for all of us. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك تعالى جدك ولا اله غيرك السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته. Thank you.